Hello, I'm off the next 2 days, so I'm going to answer your questions today. My first one is just a general point. Know things. Literally, most of what you guys talk about and get upset about, the truth is just a Google away, okay? And what are some examples? Here they are. What's going to happen on December 17th, or what is December 17th, or what is the Electoral College? Google it. It's a very simple thing. What the Electoral College is and why it exists and what the history is and what the inconsistencies are and what it means today and what could or could not happen on December 17th. The short answer is states decide what their electors do. Yes, the tradition was that the electors were there to be power to offset the popular vote. But remember, it was a very different time. There were landowners and stuff like that. So yes, technically the electors, because it's an indirect election, you don't pick the president, you pick the electors who pick the president, and they do have discretion. But each legislature decides, and the idea of having a faithless elector, which is what you call somebody who's going to go against what the popular vote turnout was in their own state, is very small. So do the research of your own state and see what it is. You do have Maine and Nebraska. They apportion, but it almost never happens. So that's your answer. The conflicts thing, okay? Take a look at the Constitution. The president says there's no law. The law is clear. I could do both. Or I could run President-elect Donald Trump. I could run the country and run my business. No, okay? Just because there is no specific law dealing with what business practices a president should have doesn't mean that there's also a similar absence of responsibility. Every ethics lawyer is on the same page about this. You can't run a business and run the country, and that's why even Trump is tweeting about it now. However, transparency. What are in these legal documents? How does he keep his kids out of going to government meetings while also running his business? Blind trust, you're going to keep hearing that phrase. It's not fair to Trump in this situation. His business dealings are far too complex. It's a brand. It's a licensing business. He is that brand. So the idea of putting it in a blind trust, that works when you own shares in a company or something like that. There are other things he could do. We'll see what he does, and we'll see what he lets you know that he does. A statement versus actual transparency. Let us see the documents. Same thing with this carrier deal. Great to keep jobs in Indiana. Good for him for fighting for the working man and woman. But what did he give that company to do it? We're going to do more reporting on our part about what is he doing to induce companies to keep jobs here, because you don't want to make them pay. You don't want to pay them to play, right? You don't want to reward companies more than they're going to reward workers. So the details matter. All right, now we're going to take your questions. First, Kira P. Feasibly, is there anything at all that can happen between now and January that could prevent Trump from officially taking office? Well, other than the obvious, and God forbid that happens to the president-elect, let's not even talk about that. I hope his health is strong, that he leads us well. That goes to this Electoral College thing. And look, I'm telling you, I think the electors go the way their states went, and I think that it winds up reflecting that. Could there be some controversy? Yes. You want more specifics about your own state? Look at what the legislature has defined for how electors have to vote in your own state. All right, and there's a second part. If a sitting president declares war on another country, legally he has to stay in office until the war is concluded. So if Obama, it's not going to happen. You have to look at what is technical versus what is practical. And by the way, we never even declared war. That's another thing that is a Google away for you. This country has made a mockery of the constitutional division of powers when it comes to war. A president makes war. It is Congress that's supposed to declare war, and that was supposed to be a meaningful distinction. What's happened is congressmen have become weak and have abdicated their power to the president. That's why you'll hear about the AUMF, the Authorization for Use of Military Force, and the War Powers Act. These are legislative animals that have been created to give a president more power when it comes to war. And the presidents love it because they don't want to deal with Congress. But Congress has surrendered, has abdicated its role when it comes to what's going on with use of force and the U.S. military. But Obama's not going to stay because there's a war going on. He doesn't declare war. The Congress does, and they didn't. Sean Walsh. Hey, Chris, if the electoral votes, who are the people are the only votes that count? Why should I ever vote again? All right. This is a legitimate question, but the system is what it is. Your vote does count because you're only assuming that you vote for president. Remember those down ballot races. They have as much to do with social change as anything else. And the Electoral College is an imperfect system. It is arguably anachronistic, but it does give representation to smaller states that otherwise would be in a lopsided situation. But you vote because it matters, and vote down ballot as well. And you know what? The number of votes matters. It has a cumulative effect or a butterfly effect on elections where they have to be aware if they know that the votes are going to be real. Andrea Clenny, could Trump conceivably get rid of the White House press corps and stick with Twitter and YouTube? Conceivably, yes, because that's your word, conceivably. Practically, no. I don't think he wants that kind of pain of lack of transparency. There are no laws here again, but he's being cute, the president-elect, when he says there's no law. You know, having a right to do something and it being right to do that thing are two very different analyses. And the media matters. I know that Trump followers are angry at the media because he told you to be. And I know that certain Clinton people and Democrats are angry at the media because they believe we somehow empowered Trump and that's why he's president. Both sides have points and both sides are in the main wrong, in my opinion. And with time, you'll see that the media matters in ways large and small. Trump doesn't weather criticism well. He's going to have to thicken his hide. The First Amendment and his desire to strip it of its force is a mistake. It's a fundamental principle of what America is about. Here you say what you want. You don't do what you want to other people, but you say what you want. And in fact, that First Amendment was founded for a very simple reason by our founders, and he's supposedly an originalist, right? He's about the original intent of the founders as opposed to adapting the document to today's practicalities. That's a different debate for a different day. However, the original reason for the First Amendment, in large degree, was, yes, to deal with freedom of religion, but also to empower people to be able to dissent against the government. That fear of tyranny, a king who will tell you what you can say and what you can't. Trump is starting to sound a little bit like that he wants these rules to change so that he can punish people who are against him. That will not happen in the United States of America. So, those are the answers to your questions. Keep them coming. Do you like what I said? Do you hate it? Please opine away and enjoy the rest of your week.